Okay, just thought I'd do a video, guys, of the current bike I'm building. It's a 77 cb550 K3 model. Although I purchased the bike about 2 years ago, it had been left in the barn since the 80s. From what I know, it hadn't moved. Barn caught fire, collapsed on itself. Once they started to clear away the rubble of what was left from the barn, this bike was found. To say the least, as you'd expect, being in a fire, it wasn't in a good way. Wasn't extensively damaged, but some of the loom was melted, rubbers melted, etc. Um, One of the perks of it, I bought the bike for next to nothing, so I can't complain. Cb650 engine was already fitted to the bike, aftermarket exhaust, although exhaust wasn't salvageable, just due to must be how long it's been sitting there, and it was a mild steel system, not stainless. So yes, 650 engine, nice wee upgrade. Um, which has just forced me to, well, not forced me, but has made me decide to go down a different route with the bike. It would never be worth restoring, so um, I'm sort of more into my cafe scene, brat style, that sort of thing. That's what I like. So you can actually see a previous build of mine there, which is a 78 cb550 I bought in a reasonable roadworthy condition. That it was a mixed match of parts on it, so it wasn't a restorable bike by any means. So I spent about a year and rebuilt it into what you see now. Love the bike, great fun. But for any long distance stuff, it's just too uncomfortable for me. I'm sort of quite tall, so um, the general riding position of the bike isn't good for long distance, as you'd suspect. So the plans with this bike is to make something a bit more comfortable, a bit more rider friendly as far as for distance anyway. So main changes to the bike are 650 engine. As you can see yourself there in the back, it's converted to monoshock, which I'll speak a bit more about later. Front end, had a factory front end, stanchions were badly rusted, etc. And as anybody that's had a 550 will know, the front brakes are not great on them, or front brakes, sorry, should I say. So I decided to purchase a GL 1000 front end. After doing a bit of research, I thought it was still sort of quite a sort of modest front end to run with. I didn't want to go sort of super duper modern like a Gixxer 750 front end or anything like that. I just wanted something a wee bit more suitable to the bike. But yet giving me better brakes and a better handling, so I went with a GL 1000. If you do decide to go down that road, certainly you can contact me and ask me anything you want about the bike. With the GL 1000 front end, you get the 37mm over 35mm stanchions. And you get the twin discs on the front. All the parts are actually lying on the floor at the minute. I haven't really got looking near any of them yet. But yes, there's, well, the other disc is actually in the car, but discs, carriers, calipers, speedo drive, spacers, etc. Everything there. Had it all together. All fits lovely. One thing I would recommend if you're deciding to go down this road, the research had told me that a 550 would accept a GL 1000 front end without any issues, same bearings and everything, which wasn't the case. The only issue, yes, bearings were correct, but was actually the stem length. You can actually see here where I've actually had to take a section out of it. I removed 12mm in length. But to strengthen that up again, I lathed up a solid piece of bar which is slotted inside this. I then puddle welded it in place, also V-grooved the two joints and welded together, and that's just where I've grinded away the excess weld. Headlight, don't know the style you call it, but it is a aftermarket metal body headlight. It's a 5.5 inch over the standard 8 that would come on a Honda CB550. Again, I wanted a smaller headlight and I wanted it bottom mounted. I've just started to fabricate a wee small bracket there to mount it. And yeah, that's where I've got to with that. Side case and the rear brake plate. You can see here, some people don't like this style, but again, I thought I'd do something different with it, so I've just done the sort of that random hole pattern to it. I think it looks quite nice. I didn't do it in my previous bike. If I don't like it in this, it's not the end of the world to change it over. So just thought I'd add, here's some of the new parts for the bike. New front pads, we've got the new carb rubbers, new fork seals, fuse box, retaining ring, that's the head bearings, roller bearings, chain, got these off eBay. There's a guy from Germany sells these. I think they were about £13 delivered. I think he custom makes them. They are phosphorus bronze for the swing arm. I've got new spokes, new oil filter, new although they don't look it. It's just I've had them sitting about and I've left them sitting out a while. They're just new brake shoes, there's full bearings front and rear for the bike, new cables, and a new sort of old style looking horn. But just back to the bike, 500T tank on it rather than standard. Again, I just couldn't help but want to put a different tank on the bike, and I always like the 500T tank. I like the look, I like the natural knee indent section it has to it. I just think it has an overall nice look. You can see there on my other bike, it's hard to maybe see in the photos, but that's actually a standard 550 tank. I actually hammered the knee indent sections into it here, so again, just to change the look of that tank. But for this, I went with a 500T tank. I did have to modify, well, to get the sort of correct angle, to have it sit nice and flat, I did have to remove the original locator tabs in the front. Just to have it sit where I wanted it. It sat a bit too far back for where I wanted it, so I brought it a bit further forward. Fits lovely now. But now, yes, onto the monoshock conversion, which some of you may be interested to know about. As I say, some people will probably hate this and think it's the wrong thing to do to one of these bikes, which in some ways I do understand, but for the condition this bike was in, the back end had quite severe rust. Again, I've chopped the section off here and right down through to the bottom, where it originally came out through here. It had quite severe rust. It maybe could have been saved, but for me it was just too far gone, and I decided to remove the back section and give myself a bit of a challenge and create this. As I say, it's mounted underneath. Excuse if you think anything looks a bit bulky. Nothing has been dressed up yet. It's literally sort of been put together to get the bike rolling and make sure everything sort of fit nicely together. The rear hip was made by a guy in England. It's a heavier gauge than the standard frame. Standard frame being 1.6mm. The rear hip is 2mm. And the bottom here, don't know if you can really see with the light there, but the bottom, again, up to sort of, I think it was about 150mm long, is solid steel, which slots up inside this tube, and it's solid steel from roughly about here down. Again, I puddle welded, and the V-groove I welded together, and then took out a section in the swing arm and welded it in place. And yes, it all seems to function and work well. The monoshock is off a 2003 R6 Yamaha. Adjustable damping and height, so it works lovely. Then a rear, this is just going to be the rear electronics tray for the bike. I've had it just so that it sits flush with the bottom, so you pretty much don't see it there. On the back there you can just see a wee single bar, that's just for the number plate, same as what I did on my last bike. Underneath there you can probably see the wee button, it's hard with the light. That's actually my starter button. Again, I just sort of want to keep the controls up top as clean and as simple as possible. The bike's not going to have indicators or anything like that. So yes, as I say, this tray will mount all electronics. Battery, again, seen it done in America. You can sort of see down in there. Sorry, the quality's not great to maybe see, but that is the battery box, which clears the chain and everything. The only other thing I had to do was the brake stay bar. You can see the new locator tab just on down there. I had to modify that because there wasn't clearance for the brake support arm. It wouldn't have fitted in place, so I had to make a new arm and a new locator there for it. So yes, all works well now. You can see here I've the two hubs stripped. Still to remove this retainer and get the old bearings out, and these will be going away to get polished, as well that side casing and the rear brake hub. Here you can see we have the original 18-inch rear wheel. There's the original 19-inch front, which is no longer going to be used. I'm going to run an 18-inch wheel on the front and back. So again, I personally I'm not a big fan of chrome, not for the look I want, so I bought this rim off the Honda Forum, the English one, just off a fella there. It's obviously a second-hand DID rim, but it's perfectly solid, a wee bit of light surface rust. Obviously that one there's a wee bit more extensive. I'll get it blasted and see how it is. It should be fine to use. These will both be shot blasted and powder coated black. But yes, that's to say, there's a guy local here makes his own spokes, and he's going to do the aftermarket spokes I'll need to run the 18-inch wheel on the front. Hopefully that'll give me enough clearance to run the fork brace and everything okay. But yes, any other questions, certainly send me a message if you want. I wouldn't claim to have extensive knowledge over these bikes, but I do my best. Only other thing I would say I need to get is the carbs that came with the bike hadn't, again, because the bike hadn't been used since the 80s, the carbs still had fuel from the 80s, which was green and lumpy, and they're in a bad way. So I don't think I'm going to try and salvage them because it would just cost a small fortune. I'm going to maybe try and get a working U set and have them rebuilt instead. As I say, the only other thing I can think to show you is, again, two things I made in the lathe were two little sections to slot into the back of the frame. There's one here and one on the other side, both sitting matching each other. I sort of spent months trying to work out what sort of tail light to use, or tail lights. Again, I wanted something sort of simple. I prefer small lights, the smaller the better, more discreet. I'll just turn on a wee torch here just to help show you the locator. You can see it in there, there's a small hole through the back, which comes out then through here, and I'll run on through to obviously get the power supply to it and an earth. The little lights I bought from there I think are only about 14mm in diameter, but they're high power LEDs, they're surprisingly bright little lights, and they fit in there perfect, and should give me ample light. And then I bought a small number plate light which will fall right underneath, or right above the wee bracket there. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. There's not much else to really tell you. Again, any questions, feel free to contact me. I don't claim to be an expert or a pro builder, but I certainly like to take my time and make it exactly how it should be. I'll try and do another video once I have the rest of the fabrication work finished on the bike, and hopefully get it off to get the frame painted, swing arm painted, seat done, and hopefully the front end built and back on the bike. Alright guys, thanks very much, bye.